So here's a look at the Create npos app, which is forked from the Create Nuxt app, which helps create Vue projects via Nuxt. Create npos app creates a Vue project with Nuxt and integrates it into PlatformOS. So we'll have a look here and we'll get started. First thing we need to do obviously is create a PlatformOS instance and set it up ready to deploy. So we'll quickly do that. Here, and we will grab the snippet here, which means that we can add the marketplace environment. So we'll paste that into there, enter password, and we'll create the staging environment that we just set up in PlatformOS. Okay, so from here, now that we've got that done, we can go back to our Create POS here, and we've got a little snippet here we can use, which we'll copy and paste across. Like so. Just go back and choose a name for it here. So we'll just go npos-1. And so basically what we're doing is we're going to generate our Nuxt Vue Nuxt project through an npm. And as you can see here, we use npx, create npos app. The next property is the name that you want to call the project, and then P for project. By default, we set up modules, which we can do. So adding P just means that we will create a PlatformOS project, which puts all the files into the root of marketplace builder. So if we hit enter on that there, what we'll see shortly is we get a prompt here, and it asks for our name, our project name. Now we've already entered our project name, so we don't need to enter that again, so we can actually either change it by typing a new name in there, or we can just hit enter. Project description, we can change that. It's got a default, I won't change that. Here we can choose to install features, progressive web app support, linter formatter, prettier. We won't install any of those at this stage. Same with custom user interface. Framework, we could choose Bootstrap, Vuetify, and a few others there that you can see. We'll choose none for that there. Author, once again, I don't need to change that. We'll choose npm for the package manager, and what it'll now do is it'll go off and start installing all the dependencies, and as you can see up here, what we end up with created is a marketplace builder with all the usual things in it, assets, modules, all the rest of it, and one extra in here called Nuxt source, which is the source for everything. And then we have Nuxt down here, and we can see it's created a folder called npos-1. Now this is the root files for the Nuxt project. For the most part, you won't need to come in here. So we can see that there, so we can close that up. So for the most part, we won't need to do anything down in here. Now what we'll do is it's finished installing the node modules. So what we do now is we come into here, and we can cd into the correct directory, which it tells us what to do there. What we'll do over here is we'll go pos deploy staging, and we'll deploy this up to staging here. That'll do that. So we'll go back to our PlatformOS here, open up a folder, and we end up with a string here. Now this string, currently I've got this working like this, so we copy and paste this URL for the CDN directly in here. There are other ways we can do this, but for setting it up at the beginning and not having to worry about it afterwards, this is the currently the best way. It would be great if we could get this information through Marketplace Kit, but as of yet we can't. So this is how we do it. So from here, I'll come back into here. We've just basically deployed everything up into there. So we come into our environment variables here, which are added when we start, and we just copy and paste that CDN URL into there and hit save, and we're done. We'll also do here is go POS sync staging. So basically we're just syncing to the staging, and we have to enter on that. Our PlatformOS will start the sync, so any files that get injected into Marketplace Builder from here on in will now go across. So from here we've got a few commands, and we can see the commands up here: npm run staging, npm run dev, and npm run production. So npm run dev creates a local environment for us, and then we can see changes live as we go. Npm run staging, basically if we run npm run staging here with PlatformOS sync to staging across here, basically what will happen is the files, when they're created or generated, will just basically sync across to PlatformOS. So we'll do that now. We'll hit enter there. Basically what happens here is it's going through and it's going to generate the static files for the Nuxt View project. We can see them getting built here and being created. And then once it's finished, we'll see them populating over here into PlatformOS. And it's done. So we've now synced the our website basically to PlatformOS. So if we just go back to this site here, so if we just refresh the page here, we can see our Nuxt site is now loaded into PlatformOS. From here we can go into Marketplace Builder. We can go into our source here, and we have our Nuxt assets that we've got here: components, layouts, pages, which we can see here, and a thing in Nuxt and View which is called Store. So Nuxt just tidies a few other things up that in View are a bit more cumbersome to do. The Store are in separate files, so we can create new stores. And you can see here at the top we've got our PlatformOS block, which is added for you when the project starts. Template, which is native to all View and projects, and in Nuxt of course, and the script in there, and also a style block as well. So got all those there. There's a few things in the PlatformOS block here, private, so this sits above the PlatformOS front matter. This just defines when it's a module, whether or not it's going to go to the public or private folders. So everything else in between the triple dashes is PlatformOS front matter, and anything below that is PlatformOS liquid markup. Cool, so that's how that works. Basically what happens when we hit generate is generate comes back and puts our assets into our _Nuxt folder in here, and all our assets now live, images, files, everything like that, live up in here in the _Nuxt folder. It's in there because it wipes the folder clean, so basically this way nothing that sits outside of _Nuxt folder will get affected. So it's for static files like favicon and things like that, they can be placed into assets outside that folder. So when generates run again, the other thing it will do is create pages, and creates the index page. And we can see if we go to index, it's created this page, it's minified it, and got it ready to go, added in the front matter that we got it to do, liquid. It creates a JSON for that page as an API, and that means that we can then utilize data that we push to PlatformOS, and that data is placed into our partials pages, which is for every page we create a liquid item, and that there has the liquid markup that was placed into our PlatformOS block at the top of our .view file. Okay, so that's basically how it works. It's now live on PlatformOS. Now for developing, obviously we have to go backwards and forwards between stages, so we have to regenerate things at the time, and that's not ideal. So what we can do is we can come back to here and we can go run npm dev. So what we need to do is we need to run npm run dev, of course, and what will happen is it will create a local host for us, and we can do this. We can do this here. We can click on it, and now we have the Nuxt project on our local server, and that means that if we change anything in here, then it will turn up in here live. So if I was to go back into project here, and we go into Nuxt source, pages, view, and we will add something into here. We currently can't on the fly change stuff that's in the store, because obviously it has to be uploaded to PlatformOS before that will effectively make a change. Otherwise that data won't be there. So if we add something out here, Nuxt, and we'll add in digital fuel, right, hash that and save that, our page here, we can see it's gone live already. Now otherwise we'd have to generate it, and then you know, that's a fairly long-winded process. Takes 20-30 seconds each time to do, so we don't want to do that every time. We want to make a simple change and check to make sure things are working. Okay, so that's basically how it works. Now I've also added the ability for it to be able to create modules. So basically add a module under the modules folder and set it up exactly in the exact same fashion, ready to go. So if we just cancel over here, and what we want to do is we want to we'll cd back into here. Because we didn't add the P at the beginning here, it's now going to create a module rather than a project. And basically we just scroll through the same items that we did before. Author, npm, it'll go off and install the packages, the dependencies I mean, and then we'll go from there. So what we can see here is I'll close this here up, the stuff, and if we go into modules, and we can see a module called test mod that we created. We have Nuxt source modules, a private folder with stuff in it which is pre-populated there, and a public folder here, which has currently got nothing in it. So once the Nuxt node modules are installed, we'll be able to CD back into the correct place. So now we can CD into the module. We'll CD in there. We'll now also do a PlatformOS deploy staging, and we'll deploy all these files that we just got here to staging, so we can see them. If we go back up here and we go to our Nuxt project here, and we hit /Nuxt, we'll end up with a page here now. So for a module, the default page is /Nuxt. We also have a way to add the CDN in here. It's actually the same for this environment. It's the same for the staging environment, so we don't actually have to worry about that there at all. So go back to here, it should have finished deploying. We go POS sync staging, and that'll sync there, sync back up to staging. Now what we want to do over here is we want to go npm run staging, enter on staging. Basically it's going to do exactly what it did before. It's going to go and generate the page in PlatformOS. It's going to generate the page via Nuxt and View in a single page application, and then we'll see it sync up to PlatformOS over here once it's finished doing its thing. And we need to do this once at the beginning of every time. And we also need to do this currently whenever we want to push data to PlatformOS as well. So of course, if we don't add that data to PlatformOS, there's no way we can AJAX it and get it back from PlatformOS. So we have to have some way to do it. In the future, possibly it could go across on save automatically. Currently that doesn't happen. So if we were to go back to our page, /Nuxt, refresh, and again, page is up and running, ready to go, just like it was before with the project one. So like I say, our source folders are in here for our project. All the files are currently in private pages, Nuxt, and the index file for that page, which is here, and you can see it's basically generated another page exactly the same. That's what it did before. So we'll also see down here, once again, this folder here we don't really touch too much. We've got a folder called modules, and under modules we have a folder called test mod, and this here is the core project for our Nuxt with all the different bits and bobs in it. One thing I didn't mention before is we have a Nuxt config. What I have done for the Nuxt config is I have duplicated it. So in here we have the core one, and all the stuff is pertinent to the integration. So instead of having all that stuff floating around in there and easy to break something or do something with it, basically what I have done is in the Nuxt source folder we have a Nuxt config in each one of these. So here we have a blank template pretty much, and we can add in the bits that we want to here. There's some things at the moment that I envisage are possibly broken at the moment where we won't be able to add extra things to them, and those will be fixed over the next short while. But for the most part we should be able to add in whatever we want in here into our configuration, as long as we don't break some of the things that are stressed up here that for the PlatformOS integration, then we should be good to go. So we can also run dev on this one here. So if we go npm run dev. We now can open up the development environment, so that's going to go off there, and we'll see this in a second. We can go to the folder here, and if we add /Nuxt, we'll see it building. Go here, and if we go back and we were to go to our modules, test mod, Nuxt source, pages, index view, again we'll change this here, and we will put hello on the end, save that down. We can see it loading back into here, and we come back to the page and it's there ready to go, so we don't have to mess around with syncing stuff to staging and trying to deal with all of that going on as well. Cool. So that's pretty much the create npos node package that I've created. There's a lot more that could be done. I'm not sure whether this is worthwhile or relevant, so it's just something that I've tried to do after trying to create single page applications on PlatformOS. Directly out of view, a single page application is doable, but it seems that it would be there would be a lot of work in trying to do that. Nuxt helps mitigate a lot of those problems, as well as adding some extra bonus features in for very low cost, and then even with Nuxt, it doesn't integrate directly into PlatformOS, so it's really a bit tricky to actually get all that stuff across. So once again, it'll still take a long time to much longer time than normal to set each project up ready to go. Whereas from here, with the create npos app, we can within a few minutes have a project up and running ready to go, and be able to change things there with all the directories created and everything pretty much ready to go. I'm sure there'll be bugs and things. I'm sure people have ideas on how it should be set up, the folders and all the rest of it. Any feedback would be welcome, whether or not you think it's a worthwhile project to continue on with and develop further on PlatformOS. Thanks for listening.